Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about next week's acts on America's Got Talent, semifinals, season 14. So I already talked about all the acts for last week, and if you want to watch that video first, the link is in the description. So yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll just get right to it. Talk about my thoughts on each of the acts performing this week. Once again, 5 of them are going through. So yeah. First up we got Alex Dowis. This guy is he's called a blacklight painter. Um, it's kind of been interesting for him. They didn't show his audition, or even if they did, it was like a very brief clip. But apparently, Simon wasn't a big fan of it. And then, but then he managed to win everybody over um, in the next round, the judge cuts. Um, and then it was good. It wasn't really my favorite, but it was good. And then for the quarterfinals, I thought he put on his best performance in the quarterfinals. Simon apparently wasn't impressed, but I think it was like a perfect blend of the drawings, the art style, the transitions, the effects. I think he put all that to, the best use in the quarterfinals, and I really liked him in the quarterfinals. I'm very glad he made it through, regardless of Simon's criticisms. Otherwise, I'm not really expecting him to make the finals, and I can't really say I'm super invested in this act. Um, he's I do like him, but yeah, and honestly, I can picture him not really impressing Simon again. I don't know. Well, at the very least, it'll be kind of hard for him, but yeah, I don't have too much to say. I hope he does well this week, but you know, either way, he's not one of the acts I really feel needs to be in the finals. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. Next up, we got Chris Clafford. In my opinion, the best singer of the season. There's some singing acts that I like more than him for different reasons. I liked Robert Finley because he wrote his own songs that I liked, and it's a shame he didn't quite go through, but I guess at least he came close, and I guess we can say he's in the top 12 then. Um, but he was clearly winning the save votes. The only reason why Ndlovu went through over him was because the judges picked them, and I could go on and on about manipulation. But anyway, Chris Clafford, he's he's just a really good singer, and he also starts writing his own songs. In my opinion, I think some of these acts, I think they sing at their best when they're doing covers. I think for both Chris and Benicio, I think their best vocals were during their auditions when they covered a song, because I guess Benicio didn't do too much to step up the vocals from the original Brandy Carlisle song. That's that song's already got some pretty nice vocals. But Chris Clafford managed to find a way to make John Lennon's Imagine just the vocals he put into that song, that yeah, just very impressive. But yeah, he still sings great with his own songs. I'm not sure if I feel he like has to be in the finals. I think he's like, you know, again, I think he's an excellent singer. Um, but I don't know. It's well, just for the record, I'll probably still put him in my 5 favorites at the end. But there's someone in here who I am not really rooting for, but at the same time is probably going to make it either way. But well, we'll get to that one when we get to it. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about Chris. He's just a great singer, and yeah, well, I hope he does well this week. And yeah, he's kind of on the borderline for me whether I want him to go through or not. But still, he's definitely one of the best singing acts of the season. So yeah. Anyway, next we got Detroit Youth Choir. These kids are good. I think they did really good in the last round, and their audition was pretty fun. They got Terry Crews Golden Buzzer, so that might help push them into the finals. But at the same time, and Lovu Youth Choir already made it, and yeah, I think this act might feel redundant in the top 10. So yeah, so I am kind of hoping they don't make it. But just know I do like them. What else? Yeah, I don't really have anything to add, but this video might be a lot shorter than last week's video was. Anyway, okay, so next we have Dom Chambers. Originally, I was not going to root for him because I was expecting that Eric Chen was going to make the finals, but yeah, Eric Chen kinda, well, honestly, the less said about what happened with him, the better, but yeah. Long story short, Eric didn't make it, so now I kind of am rooting for Dom because I think we could use a magician in the finals. And Dom's, like, I think he's a really good showman. Like, yeah, he put on some pretty nice tricks. Well, I think his audition had, like, the best tricks. It was a little repetitive, but at the same time, he sold it with his showmanship. Yeah, he's just very charismatic and pretty funny and everything. He's got the whole package. His Judge Cut's performance wasn't great, but I think he did do good enough to earn a spot in the live shows. And his last performance, I didn't think it was as good as people said it was, because well, I don't need to go into details with what he did, but like there's a very simple explanation that you can like easily figure out with how he did what he did in the last round. But he's still a great showman. The greatest show. Nah, I know Simon's obviously a big fan of that movie, but anyway. But yeah, it's yeah, I think Dom's personality, like what he lacks in what's the word, complexity, he makes up for with charisma. And yeah, I think if he does a good enough trick in this week, then yeah, I think he'd make a good addition to the final round now that Eric's out. So yeah, so it's kind of ironic that I'm only rooting for him because Eric didn't make it, but yeah, I'll definitely root for him this week. Okay, so next up is Zaman Bisha, and this is the one that the one I was talking about earlier, who, I'm not really rooting for, but it's probably going to make it anyway. Now, don't get me wrong, it's amazing that this 10-year-old girl can sing the way she does. Um, but it's kind of hard to explain. Like, there's just something. Well, first of all, we've seen several of these girls before, and how good they were kind of varies. Like, I thought Laura Berton was like really. I found her shrill. I wasn't a fan of her, or she got better by the end. But yeah, for a while I thought her singing was just irritating for me. Um, and then who else? Ariel Baril. Yeah, I've already mostly forgotten about her. Just that she sang opera. Um, and I don't mean to be mean to these girls. I'm like, it is impressive what they can do, but I'm just saying. And then, of course, the one that started this all off was Jackie Evancho, and yeah, she's great. I really enjoyed her in season 5. I mean, she was the first of her kind, and it was a novelty back then. Not really a novelty now, um, but yeah, I did. Even back then, I wasn't rooting for her to win because, like, I could kind of tell that, like, there's not much that these opera singers need to do to, like, step it up or, maintain their act for the show. Like, obviously not everyone can sing the way they do. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I can sing like that, but, if I did, it would be crazy. But yeah, the thing is, they don't really need to do much once they have the talent. Like, they just pick out a song, and like a lot of the times it's like the same 3 songs. It's like Nessun Dorma, Ave Maria, what's it called? O mio babino caro. I don't speak Italian, so I don't, or Spanish or any of these other languages, so I don't know how you pronounce all these titles, but yeah. The thing is, they always sing these same songs, and to be fair, Amon, like her last few, like at the very least, her last song was, something different, something we haven't heard on the show before. But still, it doesn't really take too much for opera singers to like keep the act going, and every time the judges just love it. I mean, for one thing, I guess it's because opera is like one of the most emotional music styles out there, so, and that's one of the major things that sells an act is like, or a singer, is they gotta like connect with the audience emotionally. That's something that Simon kind of established. And yeah, and it's kind of it's pretty cheap for singers as in general, because like there's all these different kinds of talents that like need to like a juggler needs to be able to keep all of their objects in the air. Danger acts need to not die. Dancers need to get the choreography just right, but singers, they just pick a song, and then they sing it. They gotta make sure their voice is just right, drink some water or whatever, but, the thing is, they already have the talent. But yeah, but the thing is, other singers usually kind of they can run into an issue sometimes where they just don't pick the right song. It doesn't connect with the audience or whatever. Maybe it's just not the best display of the best song to display their vocal range. But as for opera singers, almost every opera song out there is going to, or I guess some opera songs aren't going to impress the judges as much, but it's still not that hard to find the right opera song, the right aria, as they call it. Yeah. Arya, that's the word. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's just kind of cheap. It's I kind of dubbed Amon as perpetually safe. Like that's pretty much what I call her and opera girls in general. Like they always do quite well on the show. They tend to get somebody's golden buzzer, and and then they make it all the way to the end or something. They might be like runner up, or at least Jackie Evanko is runner up. And I don't know. I'm just kind of worried that Amon might be a little too overhyped. Um, because yeah, I get like all the she ticks off the right boxes. She's a kid. She can sing in a way that most kids can't. It's a music style that connects to people emotionally. Yeah, it's just the right kinds of factors that makes her like so impressive to judges and voters and stuff. But yeah, I will say I probably would say that Amon is like I'd probably say she's like the second best child opera singer behind Jackie. But yeah, I just think she is overrated. But regardless, I don't think there's any stopping her from making the finals. It's like at the very least, I don't see her getting less votes than like 4 or 5 of the acts. So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath that she'll get eliminated, but whatever. At the very least, she's interesting enough. She's a likable young girl. She's cute and everything. You know, she's got the cute little stuffed unicorn. So, yeah, I won't complain if she makes it. I'm just saying that I do think she's overhyped, overrated, all that stuff. So, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and move on now. So, next up we got Lucas and Falco. This is the wild card for the week. I will say there are other wild cards that would have been more preferential, but it's kind of predictable when Simon just brings back the dog act. Like this isn't even the first time he picked the dog act as the wild card, and yeah, it's kind of annoying. There were some other acts that I would have loved to get another chance. Barry Wom, Beer Kulsa, Charlotte Summers. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to like make the finals, but at the very least, maybe they could go out on a good enough note, or just give us one more performance. But yeah, of course they gotta bring back the dog act because it's I guess it's blasphemy for a dog act not to be in the semifinals. At the very least, but yeah. Anyway, I will say I have enjoyed this act up to this point. It's but yeah, I don't think it's like top 10 worthy. There were one or two better dog acts in the past, and yeah. But yeah, we'll see how they do this week. All right, next is Luke Islam. Yeah, I gotta put the yeah. Apparently, you put the accent on the slam because if you say Luke Islam, then it sounds like well, I don't need to go into details with religion, but anyway, I think this kid's really good. He's a talented singer. He's a very likable character. His love for Broadway musicals is very infectious. He's just very likable, and yeah, I think he's earned his spot in this round. But I will say, I don't think he's needed in the finals. Like, we already have Benicio in the finals, Cody, Tyler. I don't know. I think this kid feels like he would be redundant. And also, he's a wild or not a wild card, a golden buzzer act. And I do think golden buzzer acts tend to, you know, they tend to be like, well, what's this? Like golden buzzer acts tend to have like an unfair advantage in the game because they're like constantly pushed by the judges, especially the ones that like the main judges gave it to, because they're the judges are there to like hype them up to high heaven, because in the judge cuts we have guest judges who pick their own or golden buzzers, but they're not there in the later rounds to constantly shill the act they gave it to. So yeah, we can expect Julie to constantly hype him up, but yeah, I don't think he needs to be in the finals. Like, I like him, but at the same time, there's other acts that I'd probably prefer. Or yeah, there's definitely acts I prefer, but yeah, just know I still like him. Alright, next up we got Marcin Petralik. Is that how you pronounce it? Petralik. Yeah. Yeah, even now I'm not sure how you pronounce the name, but anyway, well, let me just say I'm like super impressed by his talent. He's like, I've been rooting for him throughout the entire season, and but yeah, I'm also really, really worried for him because like he has kind of shown where his limits lie. Like, from what I've seen so far, his act doesn't really make much of a show. Like, like it's amazing what he does with his guitar, but it's yeah. The $1 million question is: would you pay to see this like in Vegas or just for an hour and a half? And if it's just a guy like drumming around on his guitar and playing it all crazy, that's not really enough for me. But I do think there are ways he could probably like make it work as a show, and like do something that'll connect to the audience. The main reason I'm worried for him is because like Simon wasn't a big fan of him in the last round, and then like I would have sworn that he would still get a good spot in the votes, but he ended up just barely making it. He ended up in the save votes, and then he lost the save votes, and so it was between him and Lucas and Falco who would go to the semifinals, and the judges thankfully picked him. But yeah, it's just that does show me that he hasn't done enough to like win over voters, and I really hope he finds a way to like do that this time. Because not only do I want him to make the finals, I would love for him to get like a good spot in like the top 5 or something. Because I think he's like, in terms of like raw talent, he's like one of the absolute best of the season. And but yeah, it's gonna be a challenge for him, and I hope he steps up. He takes what happened last time to heart. I guess one issue with him is why he hasn't connected with people as much is because so far, in terms of like his story, all those packages that they show before each of the acts, yeah, so far all we've seen from him is that he plays guitar and he likes music. I guess he has a passion for guitar, and that's about all we know about him. And but I guess this week he can play up almost getting eliminated, and talk about how he needs to like really find a way to win over the voters and stuff. But yeah, I got my fingers crossed for him. I do really want him to go through, but yeah, let's just yeah, I'm still nervous for him. So just saying. All right, so next up we got Ryan Niemiller. That I touched on him a little bit last week when I was talking about Jackie Fabulous. Simply put, he's a funny comedian. He took a little time to it took a little time for me to really get into him, but by the time we got to the quarterfinals, I think he really established himself, and I think he's very funny, and I would really like to have him in the finals. We could use a comedian in there. And also it's worth pointing out he does have this deformity in his arms, and that might be part of the reason why he made it this far, but he's got the comedy to back it up, and I guess there's not much else I need to add about him. I do really like him, and I am going to root for him this week. Alright, next up we got The Unbeatable. This is the act that is, if the winner of this season is not Cody Lee, then it's probably going to be them. However, as I said last week, dance groups never win on this show. Don't mind the noise, there's like a jet flying by. But yeah, dance groups have never won. I would love that to change. I would gladly give The Unbeatable as many votes as I can to help push them to the win. And overall, they're probably the best act of the season. Just gonna say that what they do is amazing. Their tricks are insane. And they got the story to relate to everybody. That people can empathize with, sympathize, all that stuff. They're just really, really good, and I think they deserve to. They deserve to win, but we'll see if they can beat Cody the week after. It wouldn't be. I won't be surprised if they end up being third, because that's what tends to happen on the show. The best act of the season usually ends up in third, and maybe the second best act is runner-up, and then the third best act is the winner, or something like that. Although I'd probably say the most predictable result would be them in third place, Amon in second, and Cody wins the whole thing. I'm sure they'll be able to earn a spot in the finals this week, and either way, I'm still rooting for them like no tomorrow. So yeah. And then finally we got Voices of Service. It's a choir of ex-military officers, and I think they've done really well up to this point. They got great harmony, they're great singers. But I don't really have too much to add. I think their military background has gotten them this far, mainly. That's what mainly appeals to people. It's a pretty stacked week, so I'm not sure if they're gonna make it, or, I don't really consider them one of my ideal 5 anyway, so yeah. I don't have much to add, so yeah. I like them, but not enough for the top 10. But again, we'll see how all of these acts do this week, so yeah. I guess that's where I will leave this, and so yeah. In conclusion, my ideal 5 finalists my ideal 5 to move on from this show to the finals is, I guess if I were to pick my own 5, it would be Chris Clafford, Dom Chambers, Marcin Pachalik, one of my favorite acts, and I can't even pronounce his name. Ryan Niemiller and The Unbeatable. However, I'm feeling, yeah, it does seem, futile to get my hopes up that Amon's not going to make it in there. So if she does go, or yeah, if I am to like let go of any of these 5 for her, then I guess it would be Chris. Like, again, he's like the best singer of the season, but I think we have enough singers. I would love for just probably an ideal top 10 for me anyway would be just 4 singing acts, which is what that would result in. And, a bunch of other variety. We got magic, comedy, all this other stuff. But yeah, I would probably be willing to let go of Chris, and at least, like, maybe he'll, just lose the judge's choice, and, he'll still be in the top 12 with Robert, so, yeah. I guess there's not much else to add. How long has this video been going on? Oh, it's been over a half an hour now, so yeah, I guess it actually ended up even longer than the last one, so yeah, isn't that, yeah, what do you know? Anyway, yep, that's about it for now. Mash it and smash it, signing off.